If I was to say to you, what's your purpose? If I was to ask you that question, would you have something that quite quickly comes to mind? Do you feel you know what your mission and purpose is here on earth, in these bodies, right? Because can be quite hard, and it's quite common that we don't know what our purpose is beyond just looking after ourselves and taking care of our families so that we're safe and secure, you know? And for many, that might be their purpose. That might be that they're on this mission to do that, which is great. But for many, we don't actually connect to this side of us where we feel like we've got this mission, this purpose that's unique to ourselves. And this comes from the story that we've lived so far, like the path that we've lived so far, the story that's got us to where we are today. And it takes reflecting to know your strengths and your weaknesses, your wounds, the things that hold you back, the things that you thrive in. And through uncovering all this sort of stuff, you can start begin to know yourself more deeply. And from that comes a message, a voice that, as I said, is unique to you. And it's very common that we don't do this as humans. A lot of us don't get to that point where we can reflect or can dive deep on what actually means a lot to us beyond this surviving and getting by and making sure that we're secure fundamentally, right? These are good questions to ask yourself, and some of you might straight away had a light bulb moment and knew instantly what your answer to that question about purpose would be. Yet, as I said, for others, it can be a bit of a daunting thing, a bit of a crazy thing to think, what am I here to do? If I was to have all the boxes ticked financially and everything else, then what would I do in my life? You know, what sparks passion and purpose within me? And what have I got that not everyone else has got that I can be using day to day? And do you use those things? If you know those things, what they are for you, do you go off and use them day to day? Or do we just sort of wander aimlessly? Do we just wander around aimlessly, not really sort of knowing what we're here to do, what feels completely in alignment with our character? You know, we're born with these strengths, we're weaknesses, we're born with certain traits, and we also pick up certain things along the way, strengths, weaknesses and traits as well, that mould us and define who we are. You know, we're born with, we have these upbringings and we have these experiences through life that ultimately make us learn more about ourselves or show us certain things about the world and the world that we live in. And from that we get values and we pick up interest in things. We gain values, and we pick up interests in life and things that really kind of spark something in our minds of interest, you know. Yet again, how often do we go off and actually explore it? Do we get time? Do we allow time for ourselves to go off and explore it among just the daily mundane of getting by and making sure that we've got enough money for ourselves and our family? To be fulfilled requires some sort of purpose, some sort of mission. And when you've got clarity on that mission, it sparks confidence. It's not just about having the end goal, but it definitely sparks something in you because you know what you're here to do, you know where you're heading. And that wandering aimlessly is a thing of the past. And you might still be keeping up the things that, it doesn't mean drop everything you're doing. You still can keep on doing the things that you've been doing that support you and your family. But there's this whole other side of you, outside of that, for many that isn't being ticked, that isn't being taken care of. And it's a shame, because you've got these gifts, you've got these unique perspectives and this message to give to the world. Firstly, just for yourself and your own fulfillment, but also a message and voice that thousands of other people would benefit from, learn from, admire. Yet it's so common that we don't allow ourselves to tap into it. And this can be for many of things, right? I mentioned wounds a couple of minutes ago, and it can be that, you know, feeling worthy enough to actually explore that part of you and know that you are worthy of diving into it. It might be a creative project, you know, and you are worthy of actually exploring it and putting time in it. Even if you feel like you're not good, or others might think that you're not good, you're still worthy of exploring it if it ignites a passion inside you, if it sparks some interest in you. But as I said, the more we go into knowing ourselves and reflecting on ourselves and the path that's been so far that's led us to where we are today, both the things that we were born with and the families we were born into, but also the journey we've been on since growing up and navigating ourselves through life, finding ourselves in these different experiences and situations, knowing that like key characters have come in and had an impact in some way. It might be a conversation we've not forgot, or a certain scenario you found yourself in that shaped you in some way. All these things make us who we are today and have impacted our outlook on the world, sort of our default mindset and our default vision. And of course this changes chapter through chapter, right? And that's part of the journey. But all these chapters make up the full journey, and you've already had many chapters that have led you to where you are right now. And within that's a message, within that's a voice that is unique to you. And reflecting on it deeply or in the right ways and uncovering these layers, beginning to find that story and path and the things within that path that have created something within you that's a gift. Even through the hardship, there'll be gifts that come out of that. Through the hardship and the weaknesses and the struggles that you've had, through also the joy that you've had, the amazing times you've had, the laughter you've had. All these things continue to develop our character and shape us as humans. And when you start dissecting all this stuff and at least understanding it, gaining clarity on it, it becomes clear that there's a unique mission here that if you choose to undertake, it can be a journey that leads to fulfillment, because you're exploring something that's true to you, that you're either passionate about or that feels like some sort of mission and purpose that you want to explore, that you feel called to explore. Yet without taking a step back and reflecting, we just take each day in our stride. In many ways you could say it's a positive, as long as you're present in that. It's not all about striving for more, but definitely about tapping into our unique self and the gifts and characters that we've got here that we can share. And even without anyone else seeing it, for our own sake, it starts within, it starts for you. I spoke about before in previous videos, the things that make you go a bit of a smile on your face. I've also spoke about if you feel you don't belong. Well, when you've got a mission, when you've got a purpose, you're clear on exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it. And when it's not just your job that you do just for financial gain and everything else, it means more, that purpose, it brings some substance to your life, some meaning to your life that goes a long way when it comes to mental health and being fixated and getting so much joy and fulfillment out of certain things. And through that you can help others, through that you can live a life that is vibrant and exciting. And sure, there'll be hardship along the way. If you choose to walk a path that is fully on your purpose, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it will lead to fulfillment. Having a mission, having a purpose, knowing that you do belong here on this earth and you've got something to give. You've got something to strive towards that actually means something, rather than just, as I said, the monetary gain or a job that maybe we do because it supports us in a way, but does it really strike deep within as a passion and as a purpose? It might be those jobs that you're actually changing your true character to keep that role or to be the best for that role, which means that there's this whole other side of you that you're not tending to, of truth and pure love and passion. And as we get older, it's very easy to forget that we've got these things, we've got these unique gifts. When we're children, we dream big. Our inspiration and our imagination runs wild, and we allow ourselves to dream big. And it's very common that we lose that. It's very easy to lose that as we get older. We start applying logic. We start taking up different opinions of others, and we learn from others that have been before us. And we start putting these limitations on that stop us from dreaming big. And they can also stop us from feeling like our dreams or our purpose and our passions, our interests are worth exploring. We get caught up in the daily distractions that just what everyone else is doing, rather than actually giving time and giving love to the things that are unique to you and that spark interest in you. And it's really worth following. And I do also believe it starts with knowing thyself. It starts with that call to discover who you are and why you are that way. And when you go on that journey and start learning who you are, why you are that way, and beyond just these physical bodies that we're in, a lot starts becoming clear, and a lot of truth. And it can be quite a deep process, right? And one that's ongoing, never ending in many ways. As we go through different chapters, we're going to pick up different things, learn different things, and change. And that's part of the joys of life. But in that uncovering, we can really start to see what makes us unique, what things really get us going in a positive way. And then we can ask ourselves, do I want to explore this more, or do I just want to leave that part of me dormant and not fully lean into it and go on that journey that's inevitable, that growth is going to come in abundance through following a path like that, and passion will be born and fulfillment will come through the knowing that you're exploring things that really, really, really mean something to you, that have got a lot of substance, more on a soul level or on a character level, rather than just the what we deem as success in everyday life in our society. Both are important, and that's all I'm highlighting, that both are important. Yet it's common that we shine light and put energy just into one, which is just making sure we get by and that we're abundant financially, without actually abundant with fulfillment on our actual purpose and mission that all of us have got. It's just about unlocking it. And this is what I talk about in my Navigating Self program. You know, it's very much about this, building foundations for fulfilling life, knowing thyself and having strong foundations to live a life that has substance and good foundations that leads you to success and fulfillment, right? Knowing thyself is a key part of it, and there's no two ways about it that having a sense of purpose and passion brings about all sorts of things like confidence and passion for life, fulfillment. There's many things come of that, yet it's so common that we don't give ourselves permission to actually dive into it and ask ourselves them questions. So I'll leave you with that. If I was to say to you, what's your purpose here on earth? What comes to mind? Does anything come to mind? And I also understand that can be a little bit of a confusing thing to ask yourself, because you think, oh, right, yeah, what is this? What is this that I've got that not everyone else has, or whatever I got inside me that feels like I'd really like to explore if it wasn't for all the other requirements of life? And am I making time for that, to explore that part of me, that side of me, with or without the answers right now? Because it's interesting, and it leads to a very fun, fulfilling, exciting life that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but definitely a sense of purpose, belonging, direction and clarity, which helps when it comes to feeling like, when it comes to belonging and focus on doing things that really put us in a good, healthy place mentally, physically, and a place of abundance in all aspects of our life, in all our foundations of being a human, rather than just society's, what we deem as successful as society, right, which is just money. And through exploring those passions, finding your message, finding your voice, that also leads to you having the ability to set up a business or set up projects that are in alignment with your true self, your true passion, your true mission, that means something, that's got substance, and you can end up earning money and being successful in that way too, from that place of purpose and truth. If you want to join my weekly newsletter, it's in the description. And if you want to book a call with me as well, if you're interested in working with me to go deeper on all these sorts of things, learn about the Navigating Self program and everything else, that stuff's in the description as well. You can email me. And but more importantly, just ask yourself these questions. Do I know what my purpose is here on earth? And am I putting love and energy into that side of me, amongst the mundane everyday life of distractions and all the fun and hardship there is out there to be had? Peace.